if you watch like Dave Chappelle, Andrew Schulz, Matt Reeves, he would make very ridiculous jokes about like this ability, and then he brings you back to the consciousness of the bad effect of these things. I know you want to point that, because of homophobia, queer men are marrying women, but there was no consciousness to the fact that there is a patriarchal structure that causes that, and it shows that if there was a situation of there was no patriarchy, do you realize that people would rather not be married than marry women because they are queer? But there is a form of misogyny that allows you to feel like it is a joke to joke about people marrying someone that is unaware of their situation and marry them. I've been married before, so I know that marriage is like a lifetime thing, and that part of my life is something that I would not be able to take out, and it has affected a certain level of the trajectory of how I want my life to be. And it's something that you should, if you want to make a dark joke about, you need to, dark jokes raise a consciousness to something, and you'd raise the consciousness to homophobia, but not to the effect even within like the community. You were blaming the outsiders, but you did not realize that these people that these men are marrying, and also minority communities, women are still considered minorities in Nigeria. So it means that it is all fun and games, because at the end of the day, when you do us homophobia, we do you misogyny. That was just what I just thought, because there was no, what's your point for us women? Because at the end of the day, they are queer women. So what's your point? Where is the bloodline in that joke?
So this is why I feel like steering us back home. Why I feel like last question you asked me in the first edition, I feel like we have hope. You can hear how the conversation is steered from jokes and everything, and respectfully, I'm not saying we didn't have older thinking generation before ours, but we are a bandwidth of generation that were very, very controversial and critical at the same time, right? We don't just take things hook, line, and sinker, right? The way she's just broken this down is very, very insightful. Of course, I'm very critical, right? And I really do not really appreciate most of these kid makers, I'll be very honest, right? Maybe because I'm a theatre and filmmaker myself, but respectfully, I just feel like it would go a long way if we had a lot of people, especially in the community, who think like this, who think like, what we're trying to be here. So yes, that's just basically steering us back home.
Talking about skit makers, because I feel that the very drive that would make people not to discriminate people is from the internet. Now I know the skits that I watched, and they portrayed an intersex person on that skit. I don't call the person who did that skit here. So he walked into a room, and then he saw that his wife was having an affair with somebody else, and then they were like, "Oh, you're not going anywhere. I'm going to marry you today." And then when he married that person that the wife was having an affair with, this was physically looking a lady, but when they now got married, and they wanted to have sex, he now saw a penis. I was like, this is not what I married. It was a skit. People would look at it and say it's funny, but then again, it really, I watched it and I was like, what kind of thing is this, that you're portraying this, and then he was now like, you're not going anywhere. Now here we go dating. If I do not get it from this way, I'll get it from this other way. You get that kind of scenario that makes people feel like, these people are there, and then they're maybe worthless or those kind of things.
This was why, a very short while ago, there was a talk about a particular lady. I don't talk about her now. She's really having a serious decline right now, right? And she was talking about how queer people are represented on internet, especially TikTok. They don't have anything to do than to just come online and you already know whom it is, right? And of course, she's a CEO. That's the hint I can give, And she was seeing all of that, and I remember that it really caused some very serious aggravation in the community. Like people were really, really angry, and the very truth of this is just that the media is a very powerful tool. And this is again why we're speaking to organizations needing to find means to empower people. Let's stop gatekeeping. All right. The funny thing about gatekeeping is we've come to make gatekeeping seem like a bad thing. It's not really bad. However, the bad is at the forefront now. We should find a way to ensure that we empower people. When you get there and you gatekeep for your community member, that's a good thing, low-key. At the end of the day, we'll come back to selective again. And of course, nothing is monodirectional. There is always a good to a bad. There's always a bad to a good. But in this context, if people could find a way, organizations could find a way to empower people, like what we're doing right here, right? Empower people. Q Voice seems to have some very vibrant experience in hosting, and all of our Lilith is there. Okay, bring people along with you, empower them, teach them how it's done, how to engineer sound and everything. We will start to help people understand this is how things are done. Very quickly, there's something called the anti-rights. I had a meeting in Abuja recently, gender rights stakeholders, like national level, and we got to realize that there is a growing anti-rights movement in Nigeria. Strongly in Kenya, but it's coming to Nigeria already. And that's a phrase. Heavily funded. More funded than we could be, trust me. We see the lobby for funds now. They give them, like, they dash them. They don't write. Churches. And respectfully, okay, so I'm putting myself on the line here. I currently work, I'm in programs. I work in programs with a particular organization. And of course, typical me, I play investigative journalism, IJ. And undercover, I've realized that people are doing everything they can to re-engineer societal family back to traditional settings. And they're doing this so much with heavy funding. There's a current target in my organization. I'm talking triple hundreds of millions. Triple hundred million for what's left of the end of this month, just by teaching families. You would think people are broke in Nigeria. They're not broke. Sure. Teaching them how to raise their children. There are cases of schools we've heard where it's very, I don't mention names, maybe behind scenes, right? Very, very prominent. They call it gay cases. You know, there are factions of schools. There is, let's call school A in Ikoyi as typical school A. The same school A in Ikeja has a different case. The school A in Ikoyi has gay cases. They call people, they recruit the specialists to go talk to them, engineer the children's minds, and they're often successful. People who have children in the diaspora, let me sound like Shayo, in the diaspora are contacting people here. You know, you would expect that they're exposed over there. I'm sounding like Shayo now, right? You'd expect that they'll be more exposed. They come back home and they're having the children wake up very early in the morning, around 5, 6 in the morning, to listen to sessions that, you know, we do, to let them understand that being this is not right, or is not. So respectfully, I feel like there's a lot of work we could do in that area too. Yes.
So recently I was like just having like, I was scrolling through TikTok, and then I scrolled to a point that I started asking myself that there is a problem that we are not seeing here. I don't know if you noticed that since this year, you would see like several religious, maybe church preachers, even like people that seem queer, maybe they will do, there is a lot of, oh, wives do this, oh, husband do this. Yes. And somehow we think it's a cruise. But I used to say that these are preachings that even when we're younger, we used to hear some of it in church. But there is a strategic way that these people are cutting out their entire portion of a sermon and viralizing certain parts that are very strategic into core man, woman, wife, bend your head. And a lot of the times we were thinking, oh, we as feminists we have gotten to a point where women are realizing their power. But then again, I look back and I'm seeing 25-year-old to 30+ women that are independent. These are people that on the scale of, oh, this is feminist, equal pay, career, they've gotten to that point where they are supposed to be mentoring other young girls. But then you see the lives that they portray on social media are not supposed to, like, they are supposed to be inspiring young girls with how their careers, how their life, and that is what they supposedly do. And then next thing, these people find out, right, they want to get married, but then there's something that just, we've seen before, like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala got married, but is a successful woman, and you see that this person has succeeded in both marriage and career. But one of the things that as a woman, as when we were growing up, once they mentioned how much this person has been able to grow their lives. But then we are now seeing younger women that are supposed to be the Ngozi Okonjo-Iwealas, teaching us how to be better women, how to factor ourselves, instead of them portraying that. And now there's internet to show it. There's internet to like put us through the steps as young women. But no, we are seeing this is how you should do for your husband. There's somebody maybe single, and they are single, they have TikTok, and the next thing, my parents are saying that I should get married, but I do not want to get married. This is somebody that their content is maybe makeup, their content is skincare, but they are doing like, oh, come with me to make my hair so that I can see a future husband, or cook this for me. If you cannot cook this way, no man will marry you. And these are people that have successful careers, and this is like, I can't believe that maybe I'm a makeup artist and I'm very good at it, and my content at a certain point in my life that I'm over 25 will be, oh, if you do not like this thing, your boyfriend too does not like you, the makeup that you're doing, like those kind of things. So we need to like notice that there are a lot of content. People are like funded to use social media to push this kind of content, and it's something that maybe in our consciousness we do not realize, but then one day your consciousness will bring you back to those contents that you've consumed over time.
But that is the agenda.
That's
Okay,
True.
That's the agenda.
Williams here. Let's talk about the SSMPA, and then the norms of in our African tradition that a man must get married to a woman. And then now let me deal with your mental health. Because
oh my god,
following the SSMPA, you are not supposed to get married to a man, in literal sense. But you yourself, say, oh, I don't go fit do I don't go fit go marry. And then Esther raised a fact that it's not just because I want to conform to, this tradition, to what they say I should do, and then I would go and endanger another person's life, because you're going to be putting that person in so much trauma. Not only thinking about your own trauma that you will go through. We've seen a lot of persons who end up committing suicide because they got married, they were forced to get married. So what do you think that as the SSMP, as they hit them like this, as they drop them, say make you no marry man, what do you think say it be? Like, how does it make you feel like a queer person living in Nigeria?
It still boils down to there is an agenda. Okay. There's an agenda to erase queer narrative. And that's why, like I said the other time, our policymakers just sit down, lounge, and let's create policies to stifle these people's voices. Let's just create one laws that will make them, not strive in the society. I think that's what the SSMPA is all about. Looking at it very critically, I think it also, it debarred people from expressing. You cannot express who you are. You cannot associate freely. You cannot walk up to your parents and say, oh, I am queer.
I like that. I like that.
So I can,
very best interjection.
let me.
I'm so sorry.
I get it. Let me take you guys into a personal journey. So I just concluded a research project, and I came back to Lagos, and I have this my cousin that we've not been talking for years. My friends that were staying with me at some points were queer. They were very loud in my neighborhood. People know about me and all of those things. So my cousin actually thought that I was bisexual because I actually do stuff with girls, right? Oh, you do? Yeah, I do. So
that doesn't make you bisexual.
Yeah.
Correct. Go.
Yeah. So No, I do.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask this. Let me ask this. Because hold on, let me ask this. You're queer, you're a gay man, and then you get married to a lady. Yeah. Does that make you bisexual?
No.
But you're having sex with the woman.
You're seriously queer. That's a social need. You are conforming to societal pressure. So, you know, I've gotten to that stage where I think my family need to know. My mom elder brother lives in the UK. At one point, it got to me here. Family were like not associated with my mom because of how my mom was accepting of me. And I reached out to my mom's brother. I'm like, my mom's siblings are not interacting with her because I am queer. And it was like, I do not know this part about you. And it was like, how are they behaving really? I was giving him instances. I'm like, it was like, this is so traumatizing, yada, yada, yada. But then interacting with my cousin, it felt like I was trying to reiterate who I was to him. And it was like, oh, Williams, I did not know that you're actually into boys. You know, few times you used to bring girls and I see like your funny looking friends in the house. I really did not thought that you were really into boys. I'm like, okay, I am into boys. I love boys emotionally, all of these things. So do you accept me now? I'm like, have you considered Jesus? So he was like, have you considered Jesus? I'm like, yeah, I've considered Jesus, but Jesus is not really the problem now. So wait now, I'm still coming. He was like, so are you not going to get married? I'm like, have you ever heard of surrogacy? You know, I was giving him, you know, feedback to like the inquisitiveness he was coming with. And at a point it was like, have you seen a therapist? I'm like, oh, I have a bunch of them. And he was like, so what would the future look like for you if you're not going to get married, you know, succumb to societal pressure or conform? And I'm like, the future is going to be quite bright. Yeah. But I just want you to know, in case you hear this outside that, oh, your cousin is queer, you will not feel some kind of way. Yeah. And I think that was a very liberating process for me as a person. Sweet. Because I do not need to live in the closet. The closet is made for clothes. So living in the closet is like, oh, I'm so shy.
I'll take you in.
I'm too shy. Oh, what are they going to say about me? What are these guys walking around? You know, literally, I know this is a very bold step for me as a person. I know of a cousin of mine who is queer. But my cousin has been forced to get married. So, sometimes he has gotten into cases of keto and all of those things. I always come through for them. But they've been forced to get married. And these same family people that are criticizing me are accepting of this person. But me, I don't have the balls to say, I am not the only one in this place. And it's not in my place. But my same cousin sees me as like a safe space. They don't even know that we interact. Like they don't even know that we have connection. But we are connected and they are queer. So back to SSMPA. SSMPA, it's one bill, one law, one fucking policy that was created to stifle people to live authentically. And not only that, it's also I checked it during when that law came out in 2014. A lot of my friends relocated. A lot of people were scared. I couldn't even remember this, the time I was talking to my mom brother. I was like, oh, I'm going to the north to do research. I was like, oh, Sharia law, you know, the country policy. What are you thinking about running away, eloping, and all of those things? It's worrisome, right? And this law creates environments where people cannot even express, like I said the other time. And expression is one thing. The freedom to hold somebody on the streets of Lagos and say, oh, this is my own. It means a lot. And then you sit in the comfort of your penthouse and you're saying, oh, those square people, they want so much. Let's create policies to stifle them. That is too much. That law is erasure. It is one of the barbaric laws I've seen in my lifetime. And then the people that are funding the anti-rights movement, kudos to them. The day of reckoning is coming.
Okay, so let's talk about religion and culture. The major reason that people justify discrimination against queer people is always coming from culture, religion. They have scriptural backings, a whole lot of things to say about people being queer, people being in a queer relationship, people displaying anything that looks like queerness. Do you understand? So I want to know, what do you think about these particular reasons, and why do they come from scriptures, and why do scriptures have these particular reasons, this particular thing? Why?
First of all, King James that wrote the Bible was not a straight man.
Yeah.
Let's even
They don't
start
know that.
that conversation. King James
They don't know.
straight.
It wasn't.
Wasn't straight.
It wasn't.
This table.
And then when we use Bible, especially to talk about homophobia, we need to go back to where people usually Sodom and Gomorrah. And when God said that Sodom and Gomorrah had sinned against God, one of the things that made God decided to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah was rape. Was actually because when he sent his angels to like, oh, you people are doing something bad, they locked the angels up. I don't know if people forget that part of the Bible where these people were taken and they wanted to have sex with the angels. So it wasn't that God said men were having sex with men, women were having sex with. It wasn't that. There was no part of the Bible that specifically related to that. And then they would relate that, oh, man should not wear what belongs to women, women should not. But do we realize that in the time of the Bible, when the Bible was written, have you seen Bible stories, Bible story books? Have you seen what they wear? How do you differentiate what belongs to men and what belongs to women? There was nothing. Men kept hairs, men rubbed perfume. In fact, have you seen Greek men, even up till date? They are very feminine. They have very queer representation. So all the things that they've used. Now let's say culturally, there was a course I was taking about power and how power plays. And somebody, the person that I'm trying to remember her name, she talked about how one of the ways that culturally they were able to colonize us, even with our own beliefs, was that they gendered our gods. And if you go to India, a lot of their men are very feminine. If you look at Indian, Thailand, go to their men are quite feminine. It's because most of their gods are not gendered. Their gods have, like, you see pictures of their gods with even makeup, have heavy makeup. But when we come to our own end, look, Orisha, there is no gender for Orisha in the books of what our gods represent. But then when Christianity, Islam, we wanted to colonization came, and they saw that not a lot of people would drop their traditional beliefs. So let us gender it. So Orisha is a man, but there is no place in even the Yoruba traditional belief that Orisha is a man. In Igbo, they have Ani, Ali. Ani does not have a gender representation, but because people feel like Ani is the fertility of a land, they just say yes, it's women. So a lot of our, because of that, most of our cultural belief that has to do with homophobic anything is because colonization came, and then people started saying, oh, God is a man, Jesus is a man, and then they wanted to put Mary in a place. And it also fall under misogyny because they wanted to put people in certain boxes, because you cannot control people that are independent. So you have to put them in box and let them fight for something. And if they're not fighting for male power, they're fighting for homosexuality, or there has to be a certain form of fight to control people, divide and conquer.
It's the agenda again.
Okay, so let's come back here.
I think the community. The community is just the biggest.
That's it.
The first place to find strength and navigate society as a queer person is finding your circle, finding the people that you are vulnerable to, finding the people that can be there for you when the shit hits the ceiling. And you also need to know that in finding people, you also need to find yourself. Aspire for greater things, people that will make us be independent and all of those things. Because sometimes you see that in a clique, a certain group of people, a certain persons are, rising, and the rest are not, it does not look like there's unity, there is bonding, there is mutual growth and all of those things. So you need to define your circle. Somebody said to me like a few years ago that your social capital matters. And in finding your social capital, you need to be intentional about it. So when you go back to the drawing board, community, yes. Under community, what are the things I need to pick and select? So I think that is just it for me. Finding community, loving yourself, healing, involving. It's a gradual process.
Come to terms with the being of you. It's very easy gravitating towards. In fact, the funny truth about that is life brings what's for you. You're not a compromise. It's sounding funny given where I am currently in life, but of course I'm learning. Life not get manual, like you say. But then one thing I've come to realize in my humble, right, is most times life really has good things for us.
Yeah.
We just don't position ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Second point again would be that there are two brains in the human system.
Okay.
There is this, and then there is a gut. Let me borrow a bit into the keto for those who've been listening for that essence. Most times, those who have actually, I've never had it respectfully, but my commiseration to people who have respectfully. You would ask them, and they would tell you honestly that before they got ketoed, they felt a certain kind of way.
Yeah, you know.
It's because they were not trained to listen to their guts, instinct. Always listen to it. Quick digression. When I counsel, I've heard people say things like, "Oh, my partner is very clingy. They're having issues with my friend being around." And I ask them questions. How many friends do you have? They're like, "I have 6, 7." Of the 6, 7, why is your partner having problems with just one? Are you getting it now?
Yes.
There is something they are seeing that you're not seeing.
Obviously.
I need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So in most cases, the instincts are very rare. It's a subconscious that we were not trained to tap into. And that's why one thing I would advise as a take home is the average queer person, especially in Nigeria, needs to build what we call self-awareness. You need to be very self-aware.
To want to have that conversation. I do not do it because, okay, I want to work with your time, but because I need time for myself. I need to take out time for myself. I need to hold space for myself. I need to understand what I am feeling. Do you understand? And if I don't understand what I am feeling, then how are we supposed to have a conversation? Because I don't want to say things with my emotions. I need to use my sense. I need to speak with empathy, with compassion. And if I can't do that, then...
But those are life skills. It's quite daunting.
And everybody keeps on having issue with that. They don't really understand. They feel like me being calm in the middle of a fight or an argument is me just maybe acting nonchalant or something. But it's not just it for me. I believe I need to be calm in a fiery situation. Do you understand? Because I need to understand your perspective. You need to understand my perspective. And if all of us are hot, we're not going to get to a point in all of this. So thank you so much.
Okay, so to quickly
much.
answer what you just said,
Yeah.
forgive me. I think I just heard you pointing out one core part of your life, and I'm so sorry you feel that way. You really seem like a very good person. I'm not saying there are bad people. There are great people. There are great people. I think I'm great. I don't believe in good or bad. I'm great. I believe in intentional living. And intentional brings me to, if I could advise you that moving forward next time, you need to understand that I think there are contexts, right? There are contexts, and in most cases, there's someone will call. So there are two things. There is silent treatment and stonewalling. We confuse them a lot, especially in relationships. They don't have to be platonic. They don't have to be intimate. They could be just be platonic relationship. You're having issues with your friends, and they'll be like, "What do I do now?" You do vex, and they just go quiet on you. That's not silent treatment. That's stonewalling. I'm not blaming you, but at times it could be that that's how you make them feel. And then in cases like that, most times for them to feel very disturbed, it must be that they hold you in a very high esteem. That's human psychology. If people don't really rate you, they don't care what you do. If you see some friend telling you, "I don't like the way you treat me and everything," deep down, I'm not saying you should abuse this, but your ego, your self-esteem should be pumped because they really rate you.
But what about? I'm very sorry if I'm taking everybody's time. But please,
what about when they're trying to call you out on something and there is name calling attached to it?
Okay, so you quickly
Like-
address that.
There is name calling attached to it, and it's not even like they're trying to address this thing between you and them. They're addressing it between you and a lot of persons that are not even aware of what have transpired between you and that person.
Okay, so talking about knowing and understanding you again, Lilith, you need to understand that you shouldn't be with people that you sacrifice your peace for. You shouldn't exist at the detriment of other people. That's why we're seated here now. We're trying to educate people to understand that advocacy is basically just saying you first.
Yeah.
You may not bank with First Bank. This is not promo for them, but you first, all right? So you should come first. And some people who respectfully are not really maybe open-minded, critically, will feel like, "Oh, that's selfish." It's not selfish. The so-called Bible they use for a constitution, their life says so.
Talking about advocating, Esther, what do you think is the biggest win for activists in Nigeria, LGBTQ plus activists in Nigeria so far.
But you know that some wins are not supposed to be
said publicly.
Yeah.
Those are she's processing.
But it's shocking, Abby.
So that's it. Corporate wahala.
The win, like, it's quite obvious what the win is because we're here on the podcast having that conversation of LGBTQI Nigeria. Like, that's a win.
Yeah.
Big win.
2014, I don't think this would have been a conversation we can have here without police coming to like pack all of us.